When men walk in integrity, women and children walk in safety. I mean that with all the weight. And it's about raising the standard, raising your own standard, and not accepting mediocrity and not playing small. You have one life, you have one opportunity to give this a good go. Do not participate in anything that's not serving you.
My next guest has walked the path most men never talk about. I'll let him share that part. He's a men's work facilitator, psychosomatic guide and coach, co-founder of Men Rising Together, one of Ireland's leading men's mental health organisations. His work is in mindset coaching, its identity architecture built on devotion, purpose and faith. Please welcome David Patrick Farrell. My man, how are you?
Thank you, brother, and thank you for the beautiful introduction. I'm good, and I'm just very grateful you reached out and we can connect in this way, and using this platform across the seas to be able to talk like if we're sitting beside each other. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, like the internet is a big and crazy thing, and it was just by chance. You've done a bit of work with Sacred Sons. I've done a bit of work with Sacred Sons, so I'm out there trying to grow my community. So instead of walking up to you and shaking your hand, I'm able to click on a button and say hello.
It's amazing this technology we get to use in a good way. When it's used
Yeah.
correctly, it's amazing. When it's used negatively, it's detrimental.
Yeah, so just to give the listeners a bit of a context.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you for the opening. Thank you for the introduction. And yeah, my path has been an interesting. I'm walking many different paths now, but my original path was I was born into a single parent family, me and my mother. So statistically, without a father, I'm being born in and raised in an underprivileged area, I was more susceptible and more likely to be, and statistically shown, addicted to drugs or alcohol or involved in criminality. So I just became a statistic. From a very young age, I started drinking, 10 years old once a week, 12 years old, pumped out, brought to hospital, stomach pumped from alcohol, 13 taking drugs, 14 selling drugs, and then addicted to cocaine for a number of years and wrapped up in criminality. That was my normal life. There was nothing abnormal about what I was doing because everybody was doing the same thing. Woke up in different countries, don't know how I got there. Woke up in Poland, Brussels, Dubai, jail cells, and many different assault charges. Up in court ordered anger management, court ordered community service, urine tests every week for alcohol, assault charges, etc. That was my life, car crashes and crime. Until one moment, an epiphany, a rock bottom spiritual awakening, and my life changed in an instant. And I was awake for 5 days, and this voice came and said, "You need to change one thing, and that one thing is everything." And I went to a meeting the next day, and 60 meetings, 50 days, 12-step program. That was 7 years ago. Got a sponsor, and then went back to college, studied counselling and psychotherapy, and the journey was opening up. But the real journey began when I went to a men's weekend in Ireland, in rural Ireland. First time hearing about men's work, first time hearing about men gathering in this way without alcohol or drugs. And I seen 30 men sitting in a circle. And I seen raw emotion, transparency, vulnerability, no masks, no ego, and I seen authenticity in that way, and I knew something special was happening. And another brother was there, a friend of mine, the co-founder of Men Rising Together, Patrick Joseph. From that moment it sparked something, it planted a seed within me, within Patrick, and a month later we started our own organisation. Then I just got involved with every organisation I could possibly get involved in, and many different events and many gatherings around the world, and I've been travelling the world for 6 years, working for 6 or 7 different organisations and facilitating in North America, South America, the Middle East, all across Europe, all across Ireland, all across England. And it's been a journey, and it's been amazing. But men's work I've been really diving deep into, and it's my whole life now. That seed was planted, and now it's everything. It's all I do. It's my day-to-day career, my day-to-day life. And it's more than a career or a job. It's a vocation. And it's a baptism by fire with this work, as you well know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's epic, man. Thank you for sharing that. And what I want to know is, like, how fast did you fall into it? Like, you've been in areas where there's a 12-step program, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a brotherhood like environment. Like, what was the call there to actually attend the brotherhood environment after attending, I wouldn't say ISO because I've never been in there, but a situation where you've just got to show up for yourself? And yes, there is a bit of a brotherhood and a community there, but the difference in that, what drew you to the brotherhood?
But when I went to a meeting and I walked into a meeting, I knew there was more than what was happening there. I had a spiritual malady, I had a spiritual awakening through a 12-step program. But my whole foundation and bedrock is built on a 12-step program. I'd be deader in jail without it. But I knew I didn't want to be the man that had to go to a meeting every day to have homeostasis, balance, and equilibrium in life. I didn't want to be the guy going the same repetitive meeting every day, talking about the same problems. So my vision was wider than the meetings. I started off sea swimming every day for 2 years, cold water exposure, and I was missing something. And what I was missing was a brotherhood. And what I had when I was younger, as warped as it may sound, I had a brotherhood. I had a brotherhood in criminality, I had a brotherhood in violence, I had a brotherhood in going for different court dates, brothers, and we were laughing and joking about it. It was a warped sense of brotherhood, but it was camaraderie nonetheless. It was loyalty nonetheless, in a negative aspect. So I really longed for that. And I think all boys, realistically, are looking for belonging, looking for brotherhood. But when I found it in men's work, I was always longing for it. I knew there was something missing, so I got sober, and it took me about 18 months before I expanded my horizons into stepping into men's work. But I seen online, who did I see Tim Morrison actually. Funny enough, I talk friends with Tim now years down the line. Um, but I seen his work and I seen men gathering and having these cathartic emotional releases and gathering in brotherhood. It looked healthy. It didn't look distorted. It looked like real masculinity without any warped sense of it. As I seen these videos online, funny enough, over that side of the pond in Australia, and I knew there was something different happening. So I reached out to Tim actually at that time. I was like, this is amazing what you're doing. What is this? It wasn't in my vision, peripherals, or in my tangible existence. It wasn't close at hand in here in Ireland or Europe at the time, 7 years ago. But when this gathering came about in rural Ireland, I instantaneously and instinctively knew to book on. I didn't know what it was, didn't know what was going to happen, but it was like my soul had a longing to book onto it, and I booked on, and I shared it with 5 other brothers who I would have known through the beach and cold water exposure, and they all booked on, and we just were blown away what was happening. Like, without any plant medicines, without any psychedelics, without any other substance, it was like cathartic release and emotional releasing and authenticity. Then I couldn't get enough. I was completely hooked by brotherhood in a healthy sense. And if you have in that moment, it kind of just it grasped me. But honestly, at the beginning, I seeing this men's work, I thought it was show. I thought it was pantomime. I thought I couldn't. There was a lot of distrust in the previous life. Like, what is this? Is this a cult? What's happening here? Is this real? Is this quote unquote hippie-ish? I wasn't a hippie-esque now, many different paths I'm walking, but I think I was thought it was woo-woo at some points, and like, what was happening here? So there's still that level of construct in me, social conditioning, of thinking of what's happening. Can I trust this? Is this real? And because of my upbringing, because of my conditioning, it took a lot of de-armoring to be able to really trust a healthy brotherhood and trust this work to that level. So now we're facilitated in that way.
Yeah. I love that you brought up the trust part. As we were talking just before we started, my wife and I, we do practice, couples practice. We do a bit of eye gazing, I see, I feel. It's just a practice that we learned from our coaches, London and Justin. Earlier on in this week, there was a little bit of tension there from trust. And we were able to tie it back to the mother wound that I have, because the man trusted my wife that sat in front of me, The little boy didn't. So I had to pull on that thread. And we had practice tonight. I didn't want to show up. She was kind of half and half, but we knew like it's the one thing that we need to do to maintain that connection and make sure that there's no leaky energy or leaky whatever. So I sat there and then I just went through a whole process. So my voice is not usually this deep. And man, it just the trust, because she's been asking me to say like, you're safe here. The man consciously knows that. The little boy is like, nope. Something that I learned real quick, real fast was the relationship to the feminine energy was not safe for me. This is not something that a lot of people know about me, but before I was a month old, I was adopted out. So that abandonment wound goes right back to the very beginning. And that's kind of been the nervous system safety that I've kind of calibrated to. Yes, I can consciously trust women. No, subconsciously, nervous system wise, I can't give that trust because of that wound that I have yet healed. So speaking into wounds and the trust, you would have come across a lot of men, and you yourself would have had to do a lot of work in regards to be able to heal this part of you, to alchemize it and pass it on to the men, especially on the various continents. And so can you speak into that, the trust of men who've never walked this path before all of a sudden find themselves with you saying that this isn't real or whatever your experience is?
Yeah, and first I just want to honour you for bringing your vulnerability and thank you for sharing so openly and honestly. And that's the joys of this work. You know, we've only met twice and we can speak openly, honestly, transparently, with authenticity. And it's like you're a big guy, shaved head like me, strong, stocky, muscly, you know. And it's like I believe the way you're just speaking and the way I speak, it breaks down them barriers and being the permission giver to speak openly about our childhoods, our upbringing, and that's what I bring to the table in many spaces and places. It's being the permission giver and knowing that there's no page unturned or no rock undiscovered that I'll speak openly about all of it, my upbringing, and that's what I bring. And that's what I think this level of work brings. It's that realness. Like, textbooks are great. Modalities, frameworks, skill sets, amazing. All cognitive. But if you can't somatically feel it and release it in a good way and speaking from an open place, it's worthless. And people will know when you're speaking from textbook rather than lived experience. It's like I've said to many people, and it's kind of gone off a tangent here. Yeah, you're telling me the textbook and you're telling me the pages and reciting the same thing. Tell me about the human being. Tell me about the experience. Tell me about how it affects you, the mother wound, the father wound, the sister wound, the brother wound. Like, I don't want to just hear about, well, this means this and this means that and this, you're feeling this, you're feeling that. It's like, no, tell me about the human. And that's what I bring to these spaces and places. And the trust, and speaking to the mother wound, it's like my upbringing created a level of unsafety where my nervous system needed to isolate and regulate. And doing this work and expanding in my well-being, expanding my consciousness, getting to the practice where I'm isolating and regulating is not being of service to myself or others. And you know the old age adage of the paradox, you know, we hurt in community, but we heal in community. So when I learn to isolate and regulate, that doesn't serve me as a grown man now in relationships with myself, with sisters that I'm intimate with, or even with brothers that I spend time with. It's like, that's not being of service to anybody. It's detrimental to myself and the community. So working through the mother wound, the sister wound, the brother wound, and the father wound was very liberating to know that, yeah, my experience is not unique, but it's individual. And when I speak openly, it gives other brothers the opportunity to say, you know what, my father was there, but he was absent emotionally, or he wasn't there at all. And that created a wound and a piece in me that I couldn't heal without being initiated and being around good, healthy masculinity. So for me, the collective work I've done and still do, and I say this with humility, I can only facilitate this work because I participate in this work. I'm still the man in the middle in many places, and I make sure I'm continuously doing my work. And brothers feel that, you know, there's no need, I don't look at any brother with dogmatic, guru-esque or God figure complex. I look at brothers that are still doing the work, and that's who I want to be with. That's what I want to learn from brothers that are still messy, still figuring it out, still having them relationship dynamics with their partner, with their wife, with their mother, their father. It's like, this work is not about having a bow and like, oh yeah, everything's great with my mother and father, and I've forgiven everything but not forgotten. And so yeah, there's elements, and I still have a teething process of working through. And I love my mother to pieces, but still there's aspects like, the little boy was still there as an emotional little boy, and I can look at it in a cognitive way. I understand she did the best she could, and she had her own demons, and that's the cognitive. But the somatic is the little boy was still a little boy, didn't experience or receive the love he needed to grow and develop in a healthy way. So I don't want to emotionally bypass, neglect, compartmentalize, suppress any aspects of self. So the little boy comes with me everywhere, but he's not driving the car. He's in the passenger seat with me. The man is driving the car, me. But I'm checking in with the little boy. How are you doing? Where do you want to go? What do you need? What did you not get that I can give you now? And knowing that I can reparent myself. Because the reality is, my mother, I never had a father. He left my mother as pregnant. So, but I changed my perspective and lenses. The absent father who wasn't there, now I show up for men in every space and place in that way. So I flipped it on its head. The lack of love and emotional abandonment I didn't receive my mother, I give love now openly and non-conditional. So I used it and alchemized it in a good way. So I can be the victim or I can be the victor. And using my whole lens perspective shift and change on my lived experience, using it all as medicine. Yes, it was difficult and it was tumultuous and it was painful. But now I get to use it as a driving force to assist and support and guide men and speak from lived experience, not textbook. And that's the piece for me. It's I'd rather sit with a man who's been through the flames, who's been through the pain, than a brother who is just reading the books. And I mean that with all humility, and I support everyone in this work. But give me the brother with grit. Give me the brother with the tears. Give me the brother with the pain, who is using it as a driving force to support others. And that's what I believe I bring to these containers. I bring to this work because it was difficult, it was painful, but it was necessary to sharpen me, to refine me and define me and deliver the work I deliver. So I know it's a long-winded tangent, but I hope it's resonating.
No, that's beautiful because I heard a quote the other day, and it's energy doesn't lie. And the containers that you've been in, the containers that I've been in, we can feel the embodiment of the men that stand up and deliver their medicine because they have lived that experience. They have alchemized their pain into the healing medicine that they get to pass on. So when you hear that from a brother who has been through the trenches, walked, done his time in the discomfort and fire, and then when he speaks into it, you don't even have to see him to believe it because you can feel it. And that's why I come back to that quote, energy doesn't lie. And it's such a profound thing. And then that's one of the biggest things that I knew I was doing at the very beginning of my journey. I was paying lip service. I knew how to speak the language, but the embodiment piece was missing. And then once I started to understand and appreciate, hey, my actions need to catch up with my words. So this is what embodiment is actually living and breathing and doing what you're speaking, because the conscious part of us knows everything that we need to say, especially for men, because we live on that left side of the brain. But the body remembers, and if the body is not healed in that aspect of what you're speaking, it will still fall behind. What's your views on the embodiment piece in regards to the men that come through the work?
Yeah, and thank you for bringing it in Zayway into that. It's everywhere around the world, everyone calls me DPF, David Patrick Farrell, but the acronym stands for devotion, purpose, and faith. I'm completely devoted to this work. My purpose is this work, and I have complete faith in this work. So that's my kind of peacetime warrior. My wartime warrior is discipline, prayer, and focus. So it's 6 tenets I live by, and it's embodiment. And I create that in a way where it does take devotion to this work, it takes purpose, and it takes faith, and deep integrity. So what I say and what I do matches in every aspect. And I say that with great humility. But on these weekends with men, we make agreements. The agreements change in every organization. It could be definitely confidentiality, honesty, acceptance, ownership, sacredness, and consent, and integrity. Many, many things. But for me, if you're walking and working with this work and setting a standard and setting a devoted path to this, the agreements are not for weekends. The agreements are forever. and it's the agreements are day to day, every minute of every conversation, and how you speak, walk, act, think. So I don't walk in a way where racism doesn't fit my reality, sexism, misogyny, and I'm calling brothers in to integrity, not out. I don't ever call a brother out. I don't shame or blame for their conditioning, but it's an invitation to call them back into integrity. And I'm not the be all and end all. I'm not the spearhead, because I have brothers who call me into integrity. And as I go reflect back on, I can only facilitate this work because I participate in this work. So I have brothers in a container that I still go to, a circle that I attend as a participant and not a space holder, where I get to reflect. So I get to go with an activation and come back with more awareness. So if I have accountability and a brotherhood that holds me, not just that I hold men, that's what it's about. So we continuously refine, define, and sharpen one another. So that's how I stay. That's how I continue to try and walk in integrity at all times. There's never a week that goes by where I'm not in a men's circle as a participant. So 7 days could only pass before I could come back into alignment. And I'm going to refine it. I'm going to re-example this. Integrity is not about doing everything right, but it's about coming back into alignment when you get it wrong. Because we don't want to be, no one here is a monk, to be holy, but not too holy. To have fun and enjoy life and not be so serious. But it's also knowing how far we can go astray to come back into alignment. For me, 7 days is enough to come back in, to reassess, to reevaluate, and to share where I've been and what's happened for me, what's come up for me, and being held accountable in a council of brotherhood and a council of men that hold me and I hold them in a way where we're still striving to meet a higher standard. So that's what I think it's about for embodiment. It's like, because it's easy to say, I'm an embodied man, and you haven't done a workshop or haven't attended and done your own work in a year or two. It's like, okay, what's coming through? Is ego driving this ship now? Is it just dogmatic? Are you forgetting to do your own work? It's like, no, I've done the men's work. I did a weekend there about 18 months ago. I've attended an event. It's like, no, it's not doesn't end there. It's the beginning. It's like, it needs to be, if you're going to walk with it and work with it and actually serve people, your own work needs to continue at a higher level and a more frequent pace. So that's what I think embodiment is.
Yeah. That's fucking beautiful, man. Like, appreciate the words, your ability to articulate embodiment. And I know there's going to be a lot of men that will be able to resonate with that and understand it. And I find it interesting that stepping into this work, there's a nature about us men that we are able to sit back and regulate. Anger is no longer the first emotion that we default to, because we have the ability to stop, pause, reflect, and breathe, and assess everything of what's going on and say, okay, sweet, this has nothing to do with me, and I'm not going to get pulled into this story and be a victim in this person's story, kick them out of their own story. I'll just see them for what it is. And I was taking a men's group last night, and I was talking to the men, and the ability to be able to see each other in the brotherhood arena and how much it actually works to come together. You can only take yourself so far. And a lot of men that were in the circle have done the work before, but they haven't been back in the circle for a year or two. And it was like a whole new brand new thing. The work just doesn't end. It's continuously evolving, it's continuously moving, because the more we want to evolve and look into the shadows parts of us, the more work needs to be done. Like before tonight, I didn't want to come here. I had my moment, and I was like, fuck, maybe I just have a call with David and I'll just get the bro to coach me and hold me, see me in this space instead of doing a podcast all about him. But being able to be seen by my wife and feel that safety, okay, sweet, now I'm here. Like knowing that the work just doesn't end, and people will turn around and say to us, okay, so you're all love and light now, so whatever I do, you're gonna be able to understand. I said, no. There's still a warrior in here. He just doesn't need to come out every time something goes wrong. But if you want to test him, like, by all means. So with the men in your community, the new men that come through, David, what's your biggest? Do you have any? What's the word I'm looking for? Any holdback or withdrawals from actually stepping in to be seen and feel without performing.
Yeah, and before I answer that, I just want to honour you for the piece you discussed there. It's a thread of like, you didn't want to be here, and then that's the boy psychology. But you overrode it with the man psychology, and you knew you were devoted. You knew you made this decision, you knew you made this agreement to be here and do this podcast. And I think many men fall into the boy psychology rather than the man psychology and don't even realise they're doing it. It's like we make excuses. And the work needs to be done, and this conversation needed to happen. So honouring you for committing to that, even though you had your own personal things and dealing with, and currently just before this call. And I want to just highlight, it's not about, for this work, it's not about emotionally bypassing, but it's emotionally regulating and compartmentalising, but not forgetting to return to. So I'm sure you're going to still have a process with you and your partner after this and do the thing that needs to be done, but you still brought the man psychology in to do what needs to be done and then return to it. So it's really important. I want to highlight and celebrate you on that, because many men uninitiated in this work will get the emotional piece override and activation override, and then they just bypass the boy psychology excuses, and then it turns into the whole scenario of uninitiated boys continuing the uninitiated process and being in that boy victim mentality rather than the victor. So it's like, yes, I can have my emotions online. Yes, I can park them for a moment, do what needs to be done, and return to later on without bypassing it. So that's a really big piece. I want to just hone in on that you're doing. As a brother and a man, I want to celebrate that piece for you, so thank you. And then the question you asked, this work is grassroots in Ireland. So I had to travel the world for two reasons. One, because I believed I would think I'm maybe a slow learner and I needed more exposure to the work, and I wasn't getting that in Europe. So I had to travel everywhere to see this work, be around mentors and guides and men who were doing this work 3 decades. It's like this work started as the mysto-poetic movement in the late 70s in the States, and it was hidden and it was in the background and it was forgotten about, and there was still pieces happening, but not as big as it is now. Sacred Sons being the leading organisation in the world and on every continent. But I had to get exposure in that way and learn in that way by repetition, and had to travel the world doing it. And number two, I did it because I wasn't available in Ireland. It's grassroots, and it's still grassroots, but it's becoming more evident that I believe men's work is a necessity and not a luxury. And I think that in Ireland it's growing, but it's still grassroots, so we're still expanding, we're still evolving. And, in Irish society, through colonisation, through the raping, the pillage, the planned genocide of the occupation by the British Empire in many places and spaces around the world, and that's just a reality that we had to shut up and get along with things, and I think that's that they're suppressing a lot of Irish men's emotions, mentality of just get on with it. So it's like we're still rediscovering ourselves, to rediscover our roots, to rediscover our heritage. And it's going to take a lot of reparation and a lot of work in that way. So men are slowly but surely coming into the spaces, and with men rising together with DPF coaching, DPF, all the stuff I'm doing. But we have many access points. So the access points, we start with a hike, free event, come along, 6 hours, we'll climb a mountain together. But it's not just about climbing the mountain, it's like we'll walk, we'll talk, and discussions happen, and men open up and then realise they were holding what they were holding or carrying what they were carrying. Then I have an online circle that happens every week. Okay, it goes a little bit deeper. Okay, there's a framework here. It's a bit of discussion happening here. It's kind of teething more. And then we go into another access point. It's like, oh, there's a workshop, 6-7 hours. Okay, there's deeper work happening here, psychosomatic work, shadow work, process work, parts work, etc. Okay, and then as I go, there's more. There's a 5-day event coming. Okay, now it's the stepping stones. It's like the men are starting to discover this path gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And then we go into the one-to-one coaching for 6 months if that's what you want to do, or the leadership program I'm running. But there's many access points, because I know some of the work can look very overwhelming from the beginning. And if I was exposed to this work when I was sober a week out, I thought, this is crazy, this is mental, what's going on, this is a cult, this is way too much for me, I don't know what's happening here. And I would have been judging the men. I would have been like, these men are soft, these men are vulnerable, these men are all the negative connotations and conditioning I had, thinking it was weakness. But really, vulnerability is the strength in vulnerability, because men that hold and suppress emotion comes out negatively. Passive aggressiveness, distortion, anger, violence, etc. And you mentioned a moment ago, violence and anger is not the first emotion now, because we can sit, breathe, regulate, and see what's beneath that. But men who don't have that space, that moment to breathe and reassess, it's volatile. You put alcohol on top of it, drugs on top of it, it becomes violence, it becomes criminality. And then you look at it in a way where, my example, I was a 21-year-old man looking at 4 years in prison for beating up 2 police officers and assault charges. This 21-year-old man in the court dock, about to go to prison for 4 years. And everyone saw this violent lunatic at 21. But in reality, who was really in that court box was a 6-year-old boy who got beaten up and bullied, who had to pretend to be a hard man and tough for many years to survive in the condition and environment he was born in, who then escalated to turn into what looked like a violent 21-year-old, but it's really a lost, sad 6-year-old. And that's the piece where many men in this world are, where many men are distorted as uninitiated boys, the boy psychology, misogyny, mistreating women, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, criminality. It's like the conditioning. It's like they may look a certain way, but really it's a little boy that just had to become a certain way to survive, armoring, conditioning, etc. So for me, I'm open, as you mentioned about, is it difficult for me to open up these days? No, I'm an open book, and every podcast I go on to, and every talk I give my all, and I let brothers know, because I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot tall, stocky guy, weightlifting, jiu-jitsu, shaved head, deep voice, goatee. I'm not the poet as well. I'm not the typical guy who's talking about emotions or feelings, but I can also handle myself. And it's like, I can be both. I can be the warrior, I can be the poet, I can be soft and mushy, I can be violent when need to be. And I think all it takes is for evil to prevail. It's for good men to stand by and do nothing. And in society, I believe the 3 P's: provide, protect, and procreate. Provide physical well-being for sisters and children, women and children, but provide emotional regulation and stability for women and children. Provide, and then what's providing, protecting is protecting women and children, protecting the community, and then procreating, creating communities, or procreating life, but procreating healthy masculinity and healthy environments. That's what it's about. So yeah, be an open book, be the permission giver, and give your all. And that's what I say in this work. So I hope that answers that question to a degree.
Oh, 100%, 100% answered that question. And I'm glad you brought up our roles in society, because it feels like society has played the long game of emasculating men. And I was speaking on another podcast a while ago, and I was saying, this is back in the day. We are from, both you and I are from a warrior race. But back in the day, when you went to take over a village, you took out the warriors first. But now they have to do it in a way which it doesn't affect like human rights and all this stuff. You're not crossing over any Geneva Convention codes and all that stuff. So you go through the indirect way of society and start painting men as dangerous, start painting anger as dangerous and all that stuff. Like aggression is dangerous. Aggression can be dangerous if it's used by the little boy. But if it's used by the man, it's called protection. And so there is a mass confusion. So I was born in the 80s. So we came, I believe the 80s, 90s were the last of the hard school of hard knocks. And now everything is so tame and isolated, and the cops can get called to your parents and this can happen, that can happen, that the silent generation, like us being the silent generation, has now given the voice. But how do we speak in a society that wants to push us down and keep us down? Because if too many warriors stand up, then the ones pulling the strings of the society are in trouble. So get the women on board, get everything, spin this narrative that men are dangerous and all that stuff, and just keep them down there. Like, I don't know what it's like over in Ireland where you are and the places that you've been in, but in Australia there's a massive struggle of we are the men.
Yeah, I hear you, and beautiful articulation about that. We are a warrior race, and come from fighting clans, and fighting for our village, fighting for our community, fighting for our brothers and sisters. And society, fortunately, is trying to create docile men and weak men. And I never use the word toxic masculinity, because toxic is, it's toxic waste, it can't be changed, it is what it is. I use the framing misguided masculinity. And boys have been misguided into thinking money, fame, cars, misogyny, sexism is the thing. But in reality, we need strong leaders, strong men that are there to protect the women, protect the children, but to stand up on what is right. And I fully believe, and we do sacred combat in our gatherings. Every man, I mean this wholeheartedly, every man should know how to defend himself, to fight, and be physically able and capable. When a woman or child is in danger, the person attacking them, their life is secondary, and the women and children's life is primary. And I mean that because I'm not a pacifist. I can sit in silence. I can meditate for hours on end, vipassana. I can be pleasant. But if danger comes to the vicinity, and a woman and child is in danger, or a brother beside me, I am well capable within my well-being to eliminate that threat. And I don't say that in a toxic way. I say it in a necessity way. It's like, we don't need weak men. We don't need to be sitting around singing kumbaya. And that's why I think this work has a negative connotation. It's like, you're all just sitting around screaming and crying. It's like, it's part of it, yeah. But also, I believe we're about sharpening one another and becoming strong and remembering our warrior-esque pieces for our home, for our village, for our communities, for our society, and for the collective. And that's what it's about. Strong warrior leaders, and able and capable in all times, war times, peace times, but having the capability and capacity to inflict violence when needed, when necessity, because it's no good to be singing around, singing Kumbaya by campfire when there's people out there causing evil and harm to women and children and communities and societies. So now I want to create strong leaders. And with strong leaders, we refine, define, and sharpen one another continuously and test in a controlled environment and really, really evolve with one another in that way. And that's what I think is lost in society, where it's becoming that docile thing. It becomes the boy psychology exactly again. It's dopamine, scrolling, doom scrolling, and quick fixes, and Netflixes, and binging on series. And it's like, dopamine for me is created through adversity, through Jiu-Jitsu combat, boxing combat, heavy weightlifting, and being challenged physically is what brings out my dopamine in that way. Not disregarding watching an odd film or whatever, but that for me is testing. It's like, we were made to, I believe it's primal and innate within men to test one another. Like me and my closest friends, as soon as we see each other, we're trying to grab each other in a way where it's like a headlock or escaping. It's like, it's boyful, it's boyish, but it's man. It's like testing that area to sharpen. So that's what I believe this work is about, because yes, there's a place and space for the singing and the sharing and all of it. It's multifaceted, nuanced, and layered men's work. But the piece I believe is happening, I spoke on one of the last podcasts I was on, is some of this work can be hyper feminized. And I don't want it to be hyper feminized, because it's not about that. It's not about the flowy clothing and feathers. It's part of it. It's not about the chanting and singing. It's part of it. But if that's all we're doing, it's like, it's no good to communities. It's no good to the women. It's no good to the children. I want to be around strong leaders, strong men, strong warriors who are testing me or sharpening me. Where I look at a brother and go, "Oh, that brother's in good shape. What's he doing? How can I evolve in that way?" Or look at this brother who's expanding his intellect. What are you doing to do that? We're all raising the bar and all raising the standard and all raising and elevating to a higher level, so we can go back to community in a better way. So that's what I believe this work is about.
100% agree. Like, it's always good for a man. Like, I love to sing, I love to dance, but I'll break a neck if I need to, in order to protect those around me and all that stuff. And in today's society, because of the men who fear their own primal fucking essence, the women have turned around and become the man that they need, that they want. So they step up to the bar, and any man that challenges them. And then this is the beautiful thing about the shadow work and all that stuff, is like, for the woman, her dark feminine will always come across to challenge the masculine energy that you have. And if you fucking fold, she will run rampant over you. That if you can stand there and hold your own and tell her that she is safe, that's when a lot of men will receive the softness of the feminine energy. That's the safety that they want, to know that you can hold their chaos, hold the dark feminine energy with them. And it's not a bad thing, the dark feminine energy. It's like, it's exciting. It's a little bit naughty, but it's there. It's there to be played with. But a lot of men just fear that part of it. And it's like, once you're able to provide that safety, that dark feminine energy, that almost sexual energy that she brings, it's because she brings it through safety, not through overpowering you and diminishing who you are or emasculating you. That's a whole different woman. If she's on that warpath of trying to show that she's got a bigger dick than you, then she's not for you.
I hear you, and it's that piece of, when men aren't strong with their sister, with their woman, the woman falls into or the mother role or the masculine role, and it continues to emasculate the men. But the emasculating the men is not done by the woman. The emasculating by the man is done by the man. If he's not strong in who he is, strong in his convictions, a strong leader, it drops into being babied, being mothered, and it's like the women feel that, and then it becomes the repetitive cycle, and then it becomes the woman turning into the mother and the boy, and staying in the boy psychology continuously, and it creates more initiated men, it creates more turmoil and more distrust in the masculine. But it's that piece, it's like standing in your strength, and the women will test. It's what they're born to do, and it's beautiful. And it's amazing because if you can be strong in your convictions, strong in who you are, and lead in a good way, and the difference I think between leading and overpowering, I think that's people get that confused and distorted. It's like, oh, he's over dominating, he's demeaning me. It's like, no, he's leading in a good way because he's leading the ship. He's leading the ship in a good way, and he's sailed the ocean, and he knows where he's going. If he can be strong in that, and the women will test. But it's about being strong in who you are in that way. You touched on a piece there a moment ago about the boy. Oh, come back to me.
Yeah, I like my wife. She's a business coach. She's got a virtual agency company as well, and all that. So all she ever does during the day is think. And I wasn't really picking up on it at first, and then I was able to say, yes, I provide this safety, this area for her, the space for her to, like, at the end of the day, to melt. But I was paying a lip service. I wasn't actually fully embodying it until she told me the other night. She goes, "This is the easiest way I can explain to you. I don't want to fucking think when it's time for me to switch up. I want to cook you meals. I want to just be nothing and just melt. The way you can help me with that is not ask me to make decisions." And I say, fuck, it is that easy. It is that easy to come home, because thinking is what we thrive on. But to the thinking side of things, we also need to be able to have that vision to see them in their pain and not try and fix them in their pain. They just need a place, a safe space to just melt, cry, laugh, be angry or show a little bit of rage or whatever it is, but know that they're safe in everything that they do. They're not going to be judged. They're not going to be contained. They're not going to be told to shush. So
You nailed it. It's
being
about making
able
them
to do that.
decisions. It's about making them
Yes.
decisions. It's like, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. This is what's happening. And just when you're with a sister in that way, and they melt. It's like their brain shuts off. They become regulated. They just be rather than having to think and do. It's like beautiful. And that's, for me, it's the most comfortable role to be in, is being decisive, making decisions. That's where I want to be. And when I'm decisive and I'm leading in that way, it's received in a good way, and it's not received as controlling. It's not received. It's like, I'm actually assisting and supporting here by taking less decisions away from you and letting you just be, which is an amazing thing to be able to do when you're with a sister in that way and she melts.
Yeah. And
It provides that strength in leadership.
yeah, and that's one thing. Like, I'm ex-military, and you know how to, like, scope out an area for safety and all that stuff. So walk into a shopping mall, walk into a thing, okay, a couple of exits over there. Oh, that guy's a little bit dodgy. I don't know, don't feeling right around him. You start maneuvering yourself in a position where you can be the protector between anything that happens and anything that happened to her. What's she doing? Literally la la land, just go, oh, what's this shiny, oh, what's this, I like this kind of thing. And here's us in that thinking mode and all that stuff. And I love that. I thrive off that shit, that she is protected and has no idea of all the exits, all the safety things that we've already got in place
Yeah.
should shit go down.
Beautiful. I'm the exact same everywhere I go. It's just down. And then the sisters, when you see the sister just looking at the menu and the woman she's chilling out and there's laddie da, it's like, great. You're providing that safety and regulation and just your energy and holding, because you're aware of what's happening around you. You're aware of what's going down at any moment. It's beautiful to be able to provide that, and provide it on a larger scale is even better. When what's reflected back to me, because I've worked in mixed containers, with sacred zones with like 200 men, 200 women, and when you have that level of safety with men and women can just drop into it, it's like, can you provide it not just for the woman you're with, but for the community? Women feel that energy from you, and the children. Was Sacred Sons there last year. They said 400 people. There was kids around, people's families, and kids playing with other kids, kids playing with their moms and dads, and to see a village. Now it was 5 days, but we created a village in 5 days, where the old lady adage, it takes a village to raise a family, raise a boy, raise a girl. But to just see that level of what is actually capable when you people willing to do the work and showing up in a way, really powerful. And it just reminded me the old way, like the Native Americans, everybody's raising everybody's children, and everybody's providing safety for everybody. And all items, nobody owns an item. It's like, you don't have a blanket, that's everyone's blanket. You don't have a horse, that's everybody's horse. And that's what I think we can provide in a good way when we're in safety, and we can provide that safety for sisters without even trying. It's like they automatically feed into it when they're surrounded by good, healthy, strong leaders. It's powerful.
And that's the thing. It's like once you're in that zone of healing yourself and sorting yourself out, you move to a frequency where you start attracting men on that same frequency. So therefore, your family, your children, your wife, they're all going to be surrounded by men on the same frequency as you that are out there for the safety of everyone else. But if you stay at a frequency that's quite low, you've always got to watch your back. And the thing is that that's where like shit. Like one of my turning points in doing the work was I need to be the man that walks my daughter down the aisle because she trusts me. I don't want no other motherfucker walking my daughter down the aisle when she gets married because I failed as a father. So that was the turning point to say, okay, I need to show up better, I need to be better, I need to do better, I need to continuously do this work. And that elevated me from a frequency of running away to work all the time, gaslighting the kids, saying, well, do you want nice things? Well, I need to go to work. Making them feel bad about that stuff. Numbing with alcohol. So every time I used to drink, I used to teleport because I'd drink until I blacked out and then I didn't know where I was and then come back to, okay, now I've got to go back to work. And the men that I was around were men that I wouldn't trust today, that I don't trust today. But since elevating myself out of that frequency into a higher frequency, it's like my daughter's met men that do the work and all that stuff, and she's much like the children that camp that you were at. She feels safe around them, and I said, that's the type of men I want you to be around. Feel it and understand it and see it that it does exist.
Beautiful you said that about walking down the aisle, because a couple of weeks ago on doing my online program with the men, I asked them the question. I was like, if your daughter walked through the door in your house with a man like you, your characteristics, your traits, your personality, would you be happy? Would you accept this man? Or would you not? And it brings up a lot. Would you let your daughter date a man like you? And a lot of men, some men were like, yeah. And some men were like, oh no, I have a lot of work to do. I was like, yeah, well, that's your work right there. How you're showing up, you want to be able to walk your daughter down the aisle, but like, to celebrate your characteristics, flaws, but spotlighting and highlighting the parts of yourself that aren't fully alchemized and aren't fully evolved. To know that you need to be that man. You need to be an example for that man, for your daughter, for your family to see. This is the type of man that I would be really happy for my daughter to be with. This personality, these characteristics, how he shows up in the world, how he speaks, receives, perceives, and receives the world. This is the type of man that I'd be happy for my daughter to be with, and that's what it's about. That's the work. That's the work right there. And would you be happy for one of your family members to date someone like you? And then if not, all the stuff that's not acceptable, address it. Address it, and address it as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, because the work that we do, like, it has to be us first. We can't outsource our happiness or purpose to anyone else, like our children and our partner, because the moment you put them first, your emotional state relies on them being happy. But if you can be happy within yourself, be content with who you are and continuously work on yourself, being a good partner, husband, father is just a byproduct of you investing in yourself. So I always tell the men that I work with, like, it has to be you first, even before your relationship. You first, everyone else gets the goods when you put yourself first. And
exactly
and
what I say.
sometimes it's a hard pill for them to swallow because they've spent their whole life living through their kids, living through the approval and validation of their partner. And now they're like, they think that it's selfish to invest into themselves.
I say the exact same thing. I tell every man I work with, you are the most important person in this world. When you are well, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and relationally, everyone around you will thrive. You have to, when you wake up in the morning, you check in with yourself. You do your breath work, your journaling, your core exposure, your training, whatever it may be. You regulate, you check in, and then you assist. Same as when you get on a plane. You put your own oxygen mask on first because you need to be fit physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually for the children, for your wife, for your partner, for community. It's like the time of being selfless. It's like it's not about that. So you need to be selfish in this to be selflessness. And that's what it's about. It's like looking after yourself in all areas and then giving after that. Because nobody wants someone pouring from an empty cup. What actually you're providing if you're pouring from an empty cup? You're providing half-hearted, half service, half love. So no. How can you love someone fully if you don't fully love yourself? How do you know what love is to that level? How do you know what care is to that level if you're not caring for yourself? In all arenas, like pour and fill yourself first and know what self-care is to be able to care. Know what self-love is to be able to love. To know what discipline is to discipline others. To know what real conviction is so you can be conviction when you're speaking. That's what it's about. And I agree completely with you. It's like selfishness for selflessness.
Yeah. Wow. That's epic, man. I want to ask a question.
Thank you for asking. Martial arts have always been a part of my life. I started boxing at 16. Boxed in the ring for a few years, then that turned into some street fighting, some bare knuckle boxing. So the fire was always in me. I think it's in every man. And using the boxing in the wrong ways got me in a lot of trouble. And then I got sober and I was still hitting the bag but not fighting. And then I was 3 years sober. And I always looked at Jiu-Jitsu and I always wanted to do Jiu-Jitsu. And I always thought boxing was better than Jiu-Jitsu, but now I understand Jiu-Jitsu is so complicated. And I understand what I understand. I'm 3.5 years now, blue belt, a few competitions. But for me, Jiu-Jitsu is a really important path I walk. So I wake up every morning at 5:15. I'm in the gym at 6. Training starts at 6:30. And for an hour every morning, about 4 days a week, there's someone trying to kill me. So I'm trying to kill someone, they're trying to kill me. They're trying to isolate. They're trying to break or dislocate a part of me or choke me out. And that for me is ego smashing and humility to the highest degree, where anything after that hour, life is easy. Someone's trying to kill me. Oh, a deadline needs to be hit. I need to do emails. I need to record content. I need to be on a podcast. Yeah, but this morning someone tried to literally kill me for 1 hour straight. Everything else is pretty easy after that. But I used the fire, and you mentioned actually, this is the piece I forgot. It's like aggression is really important for me. Like there's no such thing I don't believe as a negative emotion. I have a fire within me. It's aggression, it's violence, it's anger. It's been in me because I'm coming from a warrior clan. I would have to fight for food, fight clans for survival. That doesn't go away, and I don't want it to go away. But I harness it and redirect it towards my work. I harness it and redirect it towards my passion, my devotion to this work. And I harness it towards my jiu-jitsu, where I can use that aggression in a controlled environment to simulate what probably would have been what I would have been doing on a daily basis, weekly basis, 1,000 years ago in clans in Ireland, where I'm still using the same energy to fight and survive. So I don't want to get rid of that. I don't want to compartmentalize it, suppress it, reject it, turn it into a mantra or kumbaya. I want to use it in a good way. So jiu-jitsu is a really big part of my life, martial arts, that I still get to use that fire and still remember to re-ember and fan that flame on a daily basis for ego smashing, for humility, and to gain a skill set, because you may have heard in jiu-jitsu, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. For a long time you're the nail and everybody else is the hammer and you're getting smashed, and that's important. It's like, for me, it's like, okay, I'm really bad at this now. And then I'm good for a day. I'm like, oh, I'm really bad at it again. It's so confronting. And I think life is about adversity and confrontation. So it's confronting or comfort. You can be confronting and being challenged. So I'm starting to try to sing now. My voice is husky and raspy. I'm coming from a musical background, but it's confronting. So men's work now has become part and parcel of my life. I'm not saying it's easy, but I've done a lot of it, so it's become ingrained in my body. So when I go to the weekend, I know what I'm doing, and I love it. Changes every time, but it's a comfortable space for me to be in. So now I'm finding other spaces where I can be confronted, singing, learning how to drum, and learning jiu-jitsu, and being challenged in different arenas because I don't want to be comfortable. I don't want to be complacent. I don't want to just be coasting. I want to be constantly confronted, and jiu-jitsu is that space where it's confronting every time. You know, with a black belt, with a brown belt, or even when I'm a blue belt now, being challenged by a white belt, and I need to do a little bit more training here. This guy's only here a couple of weeks, and he's starting to dominate. He's okay. I need to show up more. I need to pay more attention. I need to be challenged more. And you know, as you know, with training, the training doesn't start on the mat. The training starts the night before. Your sleep the night before, what you've ate the day before, your training the day before that, your recovery. I was like, yeah, anyone can show up to a mat, but what are you showing up to the mat? That correlates with life. Anyone can show up to a men's weekend, but what are you doing before the men's weekend? Anyone can show up as a facilitator, but what are you doing before that? Yeah. So many it kind of correlates with lots of things jiu-jitsu in life for me.
That's beautiful, brother. Like such an epic breakdown in the way that you relate it to your everyday life. And I'm sure there's a lot of men out there that are going to be listening to this and thinking about doing something that really ignites that fire. Because at the same time of trying not to die, you're also regulating yourself to breathe. And what conscious decision that can you make to get yourself out of this situation without shitting the bed? Like if I slowly maneuver this way, if I breathe hard and push over here, like what can I do to move? Basically, like having a person on you would be like moving energy, right? So it's just the way you move, he moves, or they move. So I love that aspect where it ties into everything that we do. I've dabbled in it. Will I go back? Probably, but we will see. We will see. So yeah, man. Like before we end it, I just want to really ask you, like the podcast name is called Project Man. The voices reshaping the journey of men. So across the world, there are so many different men doing so many beautiful things, and it's their voices that get to shape, that are shaping the journey of men to become better, to stand up in society, stand up in the community, stand up in their families. If any men that are listening now, hearing your words and the fact that you're over an island, what would you speak into them to like really ignite? Stop sitting on the fence and like jump over, have a look.
What I like to say is, I mean this with deep reverence and sacredness, is when men walk in integrity, women and children walk in safety. I mean that with all the weight. And it's about raising the standard, raising your own standard, and not accepting mediocrity, and not playing small. You have one life, you have one opportunity to give this a good go. Do not participate in anything that's not serving you, because it's severing you. It's not benefiting you, it's burdening you. Look at your circle, look at the people around you, and if they're not raising your value, they're devaluing you. Find a community of brotherhood, be it online, be it in person, whatever community is close to you. If there's none, create one. Do a leadership program, start a community, and evolve and expand the brocilium of this work. It doesn't have to be under any banner. It can be your own banner. It can be affiliation with somebody. But ask for the skills, tools, techniques, and frameworks on how to start a men's circle, and do it, and grow it, and expand it. Be it with me, be it with Laki, be it with whoever it may be. Men's work is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And for women that do listen to this, if you do, guide your brothers, guide your partner, guide your children into this work, because nothing new is happening here. This is happening since the beginning of time. Men have gathered in circle, community, to listen with one another, to share their wisdom, lived experience. And the man who's listening to this, you have medicine to bring. I haven't lived your life. You haven't lived my life. But men will come for your resonance, for your medicine, for your experience. And they'll come for mine in a different way. So we need you to step forward. We need you to step into this work. And there's no time like now, the present. So this is an open invitation to get involved in this work, whatever banner, whatever space, whatever place, whatever country. Get involved.
Beautiful, brother. Men, women listening, the invite has been set and has been sent. How can the listeners find you, David?
Yeah. Get me on Instagram, David Patrick Farrell. Okay, my website is davidpatrickfarrell.com. LinkedIn is David Patrick Farrell. It's all David Patrick Farrell, but davidpatrickfarrell.com, get me there. We can get on a discovery call. I have online circles running every week. I have men from Australia on the call, Switzerland on the call, UK, Ireland, all around the world. It's a brotherhood, and very diverse brotherhood from many different spaces and places. But connect. Just drop me a follow on Instagram, send me a message, and let's connect in that way. And I'd be honoured to talk to you if you reach out to me.
Epic, brother. And I understand that you might be doing a bit of travelling over the next year or so.
Yes, 100%. I'm looking at maybe getting over to Australia. A big Irish community over there. I lived there for 3 years, and there's men crying out for their work over there, Irish brothers. And if we can create a collaboration, it'd be fantastic, Laki, you know. They call in your community, my community of Irish brothers, and, you know, create that symbioology between us in that way. Islanders, you know, warrior clans.
That's the one, brother. Islanders. You heard it here first, people. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, presence, and energy. Really appreciate you answering the call, and I'm sure all the men and women that are listening will be taking something beautiful away from this discussion.
I want to say thank you very much for using the technology of Instagram to hit a follow, hit a like, and hit a message where we can connect. And I'm honoured and celebrating you and the man you are and the work you're doing, and seeing the vision, mission, and purpose of this work of connecting and interwebbing and into the tapestry of life of this podcast and the voices of men's work and the voices of good men around the world. So what you're doing is no small feat, and I want to celebrate you in that, brother. So honouring you for asking me, and thanking you again for asking me, celebrating the work you're doing, brother. So thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.